Hey, good morning. Patricia Murphy here. It's Saturday. This is Seattle Now. Today we're bringing you the best from the KUOW Newsroom. First, when it comes to Xbox, Microsoft is doing a hard reset. This week, the company began reducing its gaming division by 3,200 jobs. Microsoft calls it the most significant restructuring in Xbox history. Monica Nicholsberg has been speaking with workers who feel like the gaming industry has become an impossible gauntlet.
Autumn Mitchell has been an avid gamer since she was 5.
I was gifted a Super Nintendo and I played Donkey Kong Country and I was absolutely obsessed.
Then in 2021, she landed her dream job. Microsoft subsidiary ZeniMax would pay her to test video games.
The people, the industry, the work itself is really dynamic and challenging and just really fulfilling stuff.
But on Monday, that dream came to an end. Mitchell was one of thousands Microsoft laid off as part of a big reboot of its gaming division.
I would say it's like having the wind knocked out of you and you never really get your breath back.
Mitchell isn't optimistic she'll find another job in gaming. The industry has always had boom and bust cycles. Studios staff up to build a new game, but then there can be a long lag time until the next one. Often, there's not enough money to bridge the gap. But experts say this moment is different. Gaming companies are fighting social media, AI, and so many other things for people's attention. Gil Luria is head of technology research at the investment bank brokerage D.A. Davidson.
The more our time gets divided up, the less time we have to spend on gaming, and therefore the less money we're inclined to spend on gaming.
Microsoft says the number of game players and playing hours are down. Xbox has been spending billions on studio acquisitions, and some of those were flops. In a memo to employees, Microsoft said the business has become unhealthy, with profit margins 3 to 10 times lower than competitors. I asked Microsoft President Brad Smith about the prospect of layoffs in an interview last week, and he said, even though these decisions aren't easy,
you do have to remain healthy in order to be successful, even to just stick around from decade to decade to decade.
If the gaming industry was facing an uphill fight before, soaring hardware costs have turned it into an epic battle.
The current layoffs are an unfortunate mix of both internal inefficiencies and this apocalyptic degree of hardware prices going up because of the AI frenzy.
Joost van Drunen teaches the business of video games at New York University. He says a combination of tariffs, increased fuel prices, and, most importantly, surging demand for chips is eating into Xbox's margins.
And that's, a scenario in which the easiest answer is to just cut jobs, as unfortunate as that is for everybody involved.
But some say turning things around will require listening to the people making these games, not firing them. Christopher Hayes has been working on games like Doom and Rage for id Software for 16 years. It was acquired by Xbox in 2021. He hasn't been laid off yet, though he worries he could be. He thinks the problem is comparing Xbox with higher margin parts of Microsoft's business, like software and AI.
Gaming makes a lot of money.
But not AI money. Plus, he thinks Microsoft has invested in games and other projects that maybe they wouldn't have if they had listened more to their developers.
Most of the time, when there's a lot of money lost, it's people in power chasing a trend and then ignoring developers who actually know the industry, are gamers themselves, and know what people want.
He'd like to see Xbox spun out of Microsoft, and some gaming experts say that may ultimately be where all this is headed. For NPR News, I'm Monica Nicholsberg in Seattle.
Next, instead of watching fireworks to commemorate America's 250th birthday last weekend, about 400 people went on a pilgrimage to the site of a former camp where Japanese Americans were imprisoned during World War II. Jefferson Public Radio's Roman Battaglia shares their story from Southern Oregon.
Buddhist priest Duncan Williams recites a prayer meant to alleviate suffering caused by the hatred and ignorance of others. Behind him is a small concrete jail, one of the few structures left at the Tule Lake Segregation Center. Williams and 400 others are here for a memorial service to remember the 331 people who died at this camp between 1942 and 1946. Williams has everyone collectively recite their names to ensure they aren't forgotten.
Baby boy Yamamuro,
After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, over 100,000 Japanese Americans were imprisoned in one of 10 so-called relocation centers across the country. Tule Lake sits on open rangeland 8 miles south of the Oregon border. It was known for having some of the harshest conditions. Everyone who came on this biannual pilgrimage is here for their own reason. Phyllis Iwasaki has a direct connection with Tule Lake.
I want to pay tribute to my family, my grandparents, my parents, older brother, who was just a toddler at the time, and my sister, who was born in Newell at the camp.
Hiroshi Shimizu is the president of the Tule Lake Committee, which organizes the pilgrimages. He told the crowd that the U.S. Constitution should have prevented this.
Yet during World War II, those constitutional guarantees were abandoned by men in power who chose fear over principle.
Shimizu says the goal of the pilgrimages is to remember what happened at this camp and honor those who died there. He got involved because of his own connection to Tule Lake.
I arrived in Tule Lake at 6 months old in September of 1943. I was born in March, and went on what I call the grand tour of incarceration sites.
Shimizu is not the only camp survivor on the pilgrimage. Satsuki Ina was born in this camp. She says she knows firsthand the brutality that faced those who protested the camps. Her father was charged with sedition and taken from his family for speaking out.
He was held here for several days, and the mugshot that I found of him from his FBI files shows that he had been beaten. He had bruises and contusions all over his face.
Ina is one of the co-founders of Sudu for Solidarity, an activist group. The camps are often referred to as internment camps, but Ina says that's not accurate, as internment is a legal term describing the imprisonment of enemy nationals. Most people in the camps were American citizens. Ina says what happened here fits the definition of a concentration camp.
The euphemistic language was used to suppress the truth, to minimize what they actually did. We're working fervently, really, to correct the language.
She says it's hard to see what's happening today at ICE detention facilities and not see the similarities to her own experience.
We feel like because of what happened to us, it's really important for us to show up in ways that people didn't show up for us back in 1942.
Chizu Omori, another camp survivor, is worried about the singling out of people based on their race or ethnicity.
We're going backwards, and that's a hard thing to accept because do we learn our lessons? Apparently not.
That's why this pilgrimage feels more poignant than ever. After the memorial ceremony, most of the pilgrims gather with signs and banners to directly connect the historical events of Japanese American incarceration with modern-day immigration enforcement.
The greatest risk of all is to do nothing. We must all choose to act now for the sake of our ancestors, for the sake of our families, for the sake of our children. There are children, set them free.
I'm Roman Battaglia in Tule Lake.
There are children, set them free.
And finally, one of the most endangered sea creatures of the Pacific Ocean is getting a leg up in the kelp forests of the San Juan Islands. It's a 24-armed sea star called the sunflower star. Scientists and Samish Indian Nation are working to bring this pizza-sized predator back from the brink of extinction. John Ryan has this story.
I am bouncing my way across Rosario Strait toward the San Juan Islands in a small boat in pretty rough seas, and we are on our way to pick up a precious cargo, 20 endangered sunflower stars raised by hand in a lab at Friday Harbor.
Sunflower stars are apex predators of the seafloor. They grow up to 3 feet wide. They cruise the seabed on thousands of tiny tube feet, but they've been unable to outrun a vast underwater pandemic. Over the past decade, a bacterial disease killed billions of sea stars, dissolving them into goo. Researchers say ocean heat waves, fueled by climate change, helped the bacteria grow.
We definitely have lost a lot of sea stars. We've lost 90% of our sunflower stars, we think.
Jason Hoden runs the University of Washington's Sea Star Lab.
This was a really, really big outbreak. It spread from northern Mexico all the way to Alaska, affecting dozens and dozens of sea star species.
No species was harder hit than the sunflower star. International scientists declared it critically endangered. In June, U.S. activists sued the Trump administration to protect the star under the Endangered Species Act. Inside the lab, tanks of filtered seawater harbor thousands of stars, from microscopic larvae up to 24-armed beasts. The researchers have figured out how to breed these little studied animals and how to cure them of sea star wasting disease. On this blustery day, the lab is preparing to send some of its 3-year-olds off into the world. It's an emotional day for the researchers.
So I really am close to them.
Research assistant Julia Knopf has been raising the stars. She and others in the lab have given each one a name. This brightly colored cohort is named after snack foods like nacho and baby carrot.
I do feel like a parent. You raise them, you take care of them, you want the best for them, but then the best for them is letting them go out in the wild, just like letting your kid go out into the world.
These invertebrates can be seen as primitive animals. They have no faces or blood or brains, but their caretakers say they've got personalities, even charisma. They often cuddle up with their neighbors. Some are feisty, some are docile.
With those sort of personalities, we really get close and attached to them, and they're also so beautiful that it's hard not to love them.
Do they have brains?
They don't have a centralized brain, so they are amazing animals to still have so many personalities for not being similar to us.
Researchers load sloshing tubs of stars into a cart and wheel it onto the dock where a Samish research boat is waiting.
I've had dreams about this day. I've had nightmares about this day.
Biologist Sam Strauss runs the Sunflower Star Project for the tribe.
Many things have already gone wrong that I didn't anticipate, and I'm sure there will be a couple more.
These stars were supposed to be turned loose last fall. Then divers found the deadly sea star wasting disease surging through the San Juans. They had to call off the release. Sunflower stars were never a big part of Samish life, unlike salmon, but they do play a key supporting role in Samish culture by supporting kelp forests. Tom Wooten is sitting by Rosario Beach in traditional Samish territory. He's the tribe's chairman. Looming above him is a 20-foot cedar carving of a female figure with strands of kelp for hair. She's a Samish deity named
KUOW.
In Samish legend, KUOW was a villager who married the king of the sea. She became an immortal sea creature herself.
If you look into the water, you'll see the bull kelp swirling around in the tide. That's her hair, letting us know that she's still there. She's the protector of our people. She ensures that waters are clean and the fish are there and the crab, all the things that we rely on.
Samish belief mirrors the science that underwater kelp forests protect coastlines from erosion and nurture key species from salmon to orcas. Without sunflower stars around, many kelp forests on the west coast have been stripped bare by sea urchins. Sunflower stars prey on urchins, protecting kelp in the process.
That's why those starfish are so important, because they munch those green urchins.
Samish projects to protect kelp are part of the tribe's efforts to make a home for itself. The tribe never got a reservation.
We were scattered to the winds and were in an effort to bring people back home.
The Samish also never got the fishing rights that most Washington tribes have due to a clerical error at the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
So for all of our ceremonies and gatherings, we purchase fish just like everybody else.
To build a home for itself, the dispossessed tribe has been buying land, developing low-income housing, and restoring habitats on land and at sea.
It's really nature that we live in. We have to do what we can to preserve, protect, and restore that to have a place to come home to.
On the research boat, Sam Strauss and the Samish dive team are getting ready to go overboard with the sea stars.
Pools open! Pools open!
Once underwater, the divers lower 4 plastic tubs to the seafloor, take the lids off, and wait for the stars to glide to freedom. Strauss says the sunflower stars seemed eager to be back where they belong.
They left their bins incredibly quickly and started exploring the environment and finding different rocks to hang out on and kelp fronds to hide under.
Strauss hauls himself out of the water. He's still in his dripping scuba gear when he gives his fellow researcher a wet bear hug.
Sorry to do it to you, Jason.
Then Strauss fires up a small speaker to celebrate the successful day of diving with the stars.
Jason, this one's for you.
A dozen labs on the West Coast are now raising these stars. It's unlikely biologists can ever replace the 5 billion sunflower stars lost to disease. but they hope to raise enough of them to help the species and kelp forests recover. Reporting from the San Juan Islands, John Ryan, KUOW News.
Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now, and thanks to our generous donors for your financial support. If you have a minute this weekend, rate and review the show. Our production team includes Caroline Chamberlain-Gomez, Vaughn Jones, Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.